Hello and welcome to the stream today. Yeah, welcome back. I'm actually on time. Oh, dead on 2 o'clock. That was brilliant. So yeah, welcome back to the streams. I started back last week. Going to be doing more streams. Twitch is just telling me some of the people I watch just gone live. But yeah, I'm gonna be doing regular streams each week, mainly on a Monday and Wednesday. I did do one Friday because I knew the weekend I had a busy weekend. So yeah, so hopefully a lot more regular. And these ones that are to do with 3D, they're going to be uploaded to Table Flip Games YouTube channel. The stream that I did last week is now up there. I think I just posted it. And if I'm playing games, that's going to be on Standby for Gaming, which is a new YouTube channel that I've set up for just all the gaming stuff. So like playthroughs, let's plays, multiplayer stuff, all that is going to be on that channel. But yeah, today we're going to be finishing off, well, we're going to be doing the UVs for the side table that I started on the last stream. So if you do want to check that video out, it is over on Table Flip Games YouTube channel. And then we're going to look, if we get to it, maybe the handles need to be modeled as well for this. And we've already got it in scene, so we've already seen it inside the engine and what it looks like. So yeah, let's get started. If you're new around here, do follow. I do announce when I do go live, so my Twitter is at 3D Artist Matt, and I also announce on Facebook and that sort of stuff anyway. So yeah, let me make myself a little bit smaller because, you know. There we go, I'm not taking up the whole screen. So yeah. Hope everybody's all right and having a good start to the week. I know it's a Monday, so it's a bit early on in the week. But yeah. So what am I doing? Oh, why? I haven't used 3D for a couple of days, so do bear with me. Okay, so this was the one we put into the... we actually put that into the engine, didn't we? So what I want to do is just grab the UV editor. Ooh. That was nearly dropped that then. So just as a recap, we were making this, or I was making this, which is the side table. But what I've done is I made it slightly bigger, so we've got double doors. So it's kind of like double the length. The reason for this is because I just needed it longer so that I can put more like gubbins on top, like props and that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's the reason why it's a little bit different. I'm just going to bring that over here. And I love my new 3-screen setup for streaming because I've got my monitor, like my Streamlabs OBS on the top screen, which is sitting up here, and then on this screen I've got my reference, and then Maya on this screen. So let's have a look at this. Let's do the doors because the doors are quite easy. They're square. Actually, to be fair, the whole thing was easy. It's square. So all I do is I just grab the UV editor, which is here, and because I just want to work on one screen, this is brilliant because it gives you the opportunity to just work on one screen. So click automatic. If you do come hello, say hello. It's nice to chat to people. You're not subscribed already? No, it's not subscribed on Twitter, it's follow. And all I'm doing here is I'm just grabbing the stitch, the edge. I'll redo that. I just grab the edge and go stitch. Now, one thing I can do is this. So if I double click the whole edge, I can go hold shift, right mouse button, and then stitch together. And it's just a quick way. And then here, control, to edge ring, and then I can go shift, so shift, right mouse button, so, and this is just called marking menus. So it's control, right mouse button, hold, shift, right mouse button, hold, gives you tools, and control, shift, control, right mouse button, gives you selection options here. And so you'll probably see me quick select things. Okay, so I'm looking at that. Yeah, that's UVs are fine. This is so thin here that it shouldn't be too much of an issue if it's slightly out, but it looks fine to me. And then again, I'm just going to select these edges and two edge ring, so and then stitch together, and yeah, there we go. So we've got that bit. Now I need to do, where is this? This is this side, so this will be here. I'm going to stitch that, I'm going to stitch that, and I'm going to stitch that together. So that's the back of the door, the inside of the door. Now I'm going to UV that. I'm not going to delete it because we said in the last video that the player might be actually going in and out of those cupboards. So I want to keep that back face in there just in case, basically. Getting disturbed. And I'm just gonna, so that they're all together. Now the beauty of this is that now we don't need to apologise for the train. I was saying before, I moved house and the train line is like 4 houses that way, that's it. So yeah, sorry about that. So a good way to actually UV cylinders is this. So if we cut the cylinders, and if we grab all the cylinders and go to something called stack shells, it's brilliant because what it does is it lets you stack the shell. Anything that you've got, it'll stack over the top. So for example, if I do that, it'll stack that shell, which is brilliant for if you've got UVs sitting on top of UVs. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shift right mouse button, align UVs. I'm just going to align those up so I know for a fact now that these are all the same size. And what I can do is grab the edges and say select one of these back edges. It's a bit fiddly, and press Control left click, and that will deselect it. And if now I go to stitch together, you can see that it's now stitched this all nicely together, and it's also giving me where I want my seam. So my seam is here now, which is going to be there. So that's perfect, because that's like, okay, that's fine, that's perfect. And then what I'm going to do is so when I'm ready, what I can do now is I can duplicate this across. So I can just go like that and snap it, and snap it using V. So I hold V to snap the points down. And then that means my door is now UV'd, and when I do my layout, it means that I'm going to be able to, it's going to lay it out for me. One thing I am going to do though is I'm just going to wait for a bit and carry on UVing. So I'm going to use this one now. Just going to UV this automatic. So what I tend to do with my UVs is I tend to just automatic first, and then what I'll do is I'll stitch it all back together basically. Just give me 2 seconds, I need to just speak to my partner. Yeah, we moved out of the house, and the estate agents is doing the inventory today, because we were renting, and now, but the place we've moved into, we bought ourselves, but we were renting before. So the estate agents like trying to get a hold of us to make sure everything's all right with the other place, which it was. We left it good condition. We had it professionally clean before we left and everything. So. Yeah, welcome to the stream if you've just joined us. Ah, never mind, they'll have to wait. Yeah. So where's that? So that's that bit. Okay, that's a bit weird. If I rotate that, you can see. It's gonna have to go like that. And again, I'm just gonna grab that, stitch them together. Now the only issue with that was, can you see how some of them are not the same shape? No, I don't think that's too much of an issue. Okay, so we've got that. Now the beauty of this is that this is just repeated over, so I can actually get rid of that and go, okay, let's duplicate this. And I'm just going to flip it. Now the only issue with this is now these sides are going to be red. So we're going to need to, if I freeze the transmitter, you can see how the UVs are now flipped. So it's not too much of an issue, because what we can do is we can do this, flip. And now if we write anything on it, it's not going to have writing on it, but if we wanted to say write some graphics on there, they're not going to be flipped the wrong way around, and they're going to work with the project. So, and the thing with this is I'm actually going to combine these together and click, grab that, merge it, and I'm going to get rid of the center line, but only once I have, oh hello, stitched it together, and then I'm going to delete it. And the reason why I did it that way instead of just deleting it before I'd stitched this together, I think if I delete that, it's going to delete the UVs. So what I want to do is I actually want to stitch this together first, then delete that line, and then that'll work. So if that ever happens, it's because you haven't done it in the right order, and it just needs to be in the right order before it'll work. And yeah, so that means now I've got this, that's sorted. I've done that. Okay, let's separate this out. And let's just do one draw, and then I'll duplicate it. So UVing actually shouldn't be that much of a pain. I know some people don't really like it. I like it. It's nice to figure out the puzzle, basically. I think that's the best way to describe it. It is a giant jigsaw puzzle that you have to put back together. Even though I don't really do jigsaw puzzles, it's because I do UVs all the time. So yeah, so let's automatic map that. And you're thinking, oh my god, he's automatic mapping everything. I do to get a good base, and then I'll stitch it back together. So I won't like just automatic map it and leave it like that, like it's on screen at the moment. That's bad. You don't want to be doing that. But to automatic map it and then work from that, I just find easier. Some people use planar, some people use camera based, some people use cylindrical, spherical. There's multiple ways of doing this. So let's start with this piece first, and what I tend to do is just drag it over where the numbers are to see. There we go. And then I'll work from there. Okay, so this is where you find issues. And what I'll do is I'll cut all of that and then try and stitch it. So there's something wrong here. The reason why I know something's wrong is because it's not letting me stitch this line. Okay, so I think, there we go. So the verts weren't merged, and it's a good way to actually kind of optimize your model as you're UVing, because it will tell you kind of if something's not right and something isn't merged properly, it won't stitch together or sew together. So it's a good way of figuring that out. And I'm just pressing G to repeat the tool that I used, and it's really cool, and it makes things a lot quicker. Now I could put these corners together, like so. We are getting a bit of an issue here, so I'm going to keep the corners separate. Okay, and then I'm just going to stitch the next bits together. I'm actually going to put some music on. And I think that's it for that. So that's the front of it, and I'm going to keep it like this, and then I'm going to UV this box. So I'm going to start with this bit here. I'm just going to do that. Okay, so that's my shelf UV'd. It's UV'd, but it isn't laid out yet, and I'm going to do a layout at the end once I've UV'd each individual component. And again, what I can do is I can get rid of those because we've already got one UV'd, so I may as well actually just UV one and then duplicate it. Now for this it's going to be a little bit different because we can't necessarily I just want to pull this one out in a minute. I'm just going to bring those slightly in. The problem we had there was we're having a bit of graphical flickering. That's where, well, it's called Z fighting, and it's where two faces are basically in the same 3D space, and they're trying to fight for that 3D space basically. So you start to get flickering, and if you just bring a little bit of depth in or a little bit of depth out, that will solve the majority of those issues basically. Okay, so I'm just going to select these edges. Now, the thing I don't like about that is there's so much wasted space here. So when you do an automatic layout, it's not going to like it. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm actually going to sew them that way and then have it so it's kind of like that. And what that means is that instead of wasting 4 corners, we're wasting just this space here, and we're technically not wasting it. What can happen is that the other one could go here, so then all we're wasting is these 2 spaces here. But we'll soon find whether that's alright or not in a minute. Okay, so we got that. So you're not actually going to see these 2 walls, so we can actually get rid of them. Just means that there's less polys there because you're not going to see them. They're all enclosed in tight in the actual thing. We've got this and we've got this one as well, which you're not going to see, so we can get rid of it. But if you delete it in here, that just deletes the UVs. It doesn't actually delete the face. The face is still going to be there with no UVs. So if we delete it inside of here, it will get rid of it. Okay, I'm happy with that. I'm just going to save it as well. what's next? Let's do this bit. If I just grab that, I don't think this will work. Yeah, it's probably not the best thing to do. Let's keep that separate. I'm just making sure all the lines are sewed, because at the moment that one wouldn't have been sewed, so just make sure it's sewed. If it's solid white, it's either, if it's a solid white inside a UV shell, it means that the UV isn't sewed, and if it's a solid white line outside the UV shell, it means that that's the outer shell. So you can see here, this is solid white, so it means it's the outer shell, whereas that one there was an inner one, which means it needed to be sewed. So again, we're not going to see that face, we can get rid of it, and the same with down here as well. And if I was to isolate this now, you can see that this face has been deleted, and so was this one. Okay, this one, I think that should be fine for the low poly. I'm going to have to go in and actually make it a little bit more high poly, and then bake down, because I want the smoothness but at the same time. So what I might do is actually, if we just isolate this, I think this is 20 sided, so we can strip this down. So we can go every other one. Now the problem I've got is trying to see that is quite hard, so all I'm doing is holding shift and double clicking. And you can see that went from 1200 to 600, which in the grand scheme of things, the silhouette hasn't changed that much. Yes, okay, this is a little bit harsher, but with the bake, it's going to do a nice bake to make it round. So actually, we've just saved 600 polys for something very small, which is good. So yeah. I'm gonna UV edit this. Okay, so this one's a little bit harder because we can't just get the PCs and do a like separate. Oh, sorry. Do apologize about that. I mean, we could. So let's try it. So if we cut it and then go stack shelves. Would help if I did that properly, wouldn't it? It's actually not too bad, to be fair. Let's just cut those as well. Cut those. And I'm just going to make sure that it's the correct size, basically, so that when I try and sew this together in a minute, it's going to work, he says. and then we've got that. So the next things to do is these ones, which are these bits here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut that. Same, cut it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a unfold on it. And what that does is it just relaxes it a little bit. But at the same time, I don't like that at all. It's not going to look right when you try and bake the roundness into it. So let's scrap that idea of doing that. So I'm just going to press Ctrl Z. Just going to save that. Just in case I have to revert back. It's like when you're in a game and you've got to save it because you don't know whether you're going to fail or not. Okay. Let's try this instead. I don't know. For how small it is, let's just go with the first thing I did. If we have to make changes, we have to make changes. It is a very much trial process with this sort of thing. Yeah, so two edge ring. So instead of me going around and selecting every single edge, it's just easier for me to do that. Same again, two edge. So. And then I'm just going to do an unfold on it just to soften it out. I'm just going to rinse and repeat for the next couple. Say hello in chat if you're new here. If not, if you're a regular, it's always good to hear from everybody. Hope everybody's all right during these times. Okay, there we go. Just gonna just set these all to the same size. Yeah. Okay, so that's that done. So we've got that. Oh, we're nearly there actually. We just got this to do, so it's automatic like this. So this one is, I think you're not going to see. You're going to see that face, but you're not going to see this face. So we can delete that face, but make sure you delete it in 3D space, not UV space, or else it won't go anywhere. So the other day I bought a game, Car Mechanic 2018. I've been playing that mainly after I play Call of Duty and get too angry at Call of Duty. Yeah, it's very soothing, removing car bolts and putting new engine pieces in and that sort of stuff. I'm not really a car nut either. Like my partner's got a car. I don't have a car. I can drive, but like I'm just insured on my partner's car. But I got rid of my car because I was just I wasn't using it, and it was a gas guzzler. It was an old Vauxhall Astra, 2002 reg. So it wasn't the best performance wise, and it wasn't the best for the environment. So we went with a hybrid. My partner went with a hybrid, which she loves. We can actually get rid of these top bits as well, actually, because we're not going to see them. And again, I'm just going to wait for that because I can duplicate it over. It's brilliant. Okay, so this one, let's do this one. This one's a little bit different because actually we didn't get rid of that, did we? And I don't think that we merged the verts either. So let's delete that. So, okay, landlord's asking for. Oh, okay. Let me read this email. I do apologise. But yeah, so I've been playing Car Mechanic, which is a very soothing game, very satisfying to like clean all the pieces and repair all the pieces and that sort of stuff. The only issue I've got with it is sometimes it's very hard to understand. Sorry, I will get back to regular programming in a bit, but yeah. So like the problem I have with the game is that it's cool that the parts that you need to replace have damage and rust, but there's a lot of rust everywhere, even with like the cars that come in like on the body panel and that sort of stuff. So I think if they were to do it again, or if I think it's just like tone down the rust, if you're going to use that as a mechanic to tell whether a part is bad or not, other than when you start to view it, like don't use it then everywhere else on the car which doesn't need replacing, unless that's what they aimed for. I don't know. Ooh, hello. Let me just no freeze history. Yeah, automatic. Don't know what happened there. That was a bit weird. So yeah. Anyway, back to it now. Yeah. So as I was saying before, we've just moved out of a place, and like the whole place is immaculate. We got it professionally cleaned. I did the garden before I left and all that. And as we were leaving, we'd put some one of the display magnets on a wall because we'd read that you could actually take it off the wall without removing the paint. Well, that wasn't the case. We accidentally took. It was about that size, and all the paint came off the wall. So we were like, oh crap. It's like, sorry, we went to the estate agent. We said, look, we are really sorry about this. If you want us to, we'll repaint it. We just need to know the paint colour. And the landlord was like, no, it's all right, we'll do it. And we were just waiting to see whether we got our full deposit back or not. And it took some money out for the paint damage, but other than that, we got the full deposit back. So, way money to go towards the mortgage and the painting and decorating that we're actually doing in this place at the moment. So yeah, it's always a weight off your mind when that happens. Whew. Okay, got that one. Okay, I'm just going to cut that because I don't want that to be there. And the thing is, you can actually do UV in the 3D space anyway. Oh, sorry. No. Okay, I'm just going to cut that because I don't want that like... Oh, right. An easier way to do that is, instead of doing a cut, which cuts all the faces, you can do create UV shell. And what that does is it creates a UV shell. Like, it's still together, so it's brilliant for that sort of thing. Okay, again, I'm going to keep that there, and I'll come back to that in a minute, because that's going to go flush against the wall. Now, I'm just thinking what's the best way to do this, because, yes, okay. So what I'm going to do is actually delete these faces here, and then I'm just going to create some new geometry. Now the reason why I'm doing this is because we were having that discussion last time, which was like, what if a level designer comes along and decides that they want to tip this over and it's not got the faces in the bottom? So you can you'll either have to go back into the art side, not remodel it as such, but put the faces in that you need and then UV it. Or for how many polys it is, it's 4 sides. It's a little bit more because I'm doing, I've got this bit here, but what I'm going to do is this. I may as well do it all in one go than come back and redo it and all this. So yeah, I think that's fine to do. And then all we need to do is just UV this bottom bit. So I'm just going to automatic map it with it selected. Go for automatic map, there you go. And then this can actually go there. It's perfect. There we go, it's done. I'm just going to rotate this around, and then these same, I'm just going to rotate them around. Don't do that. I love it, right? I to be fair, we do as well, but I get emails of people asking me if they want, if we, as Tabletop Games, we need any creative services doing, any artwork doing, and it's like they're emailing the artists on whether the artist needs his work being replaced by an outsourcing company. It's like, it's what I do. Just do a little bit of research. That's what I ask. I had a recruiter message me the other day, asking me if I was interested in a job position. I won't say where, I won't say what, and they said they'd seen my portfolio, my profile on LinkedIn, and said I was perfect for the job, and it was for it was teaching, and it was for a programmer. It was to teach on the programming / production game development course. I'm not a programmer, and I don't think anywhere on my LinkedIn says I'm a programmer or I have experience with C# or C++. And I was just like, I kindly said no, I'm okay where I am. and yeah, I was just like, and I was like, just to point out, I'm an environment artist, 3D artist, environment specialising in environment art. I'm not a programmer, so this position wouldn't be good for me because one, I'd be letting the institution down because they won't expect me to teach programming. I'm not a programmer, and that sort of stuff. So I was gonna be a bit more harsher than that, and then I was just like, right, okay, well, what if a job came up at this place later on and that recruiter remembered you for being harsh or unnecessarily mean in your reply? So moral of the story is just don't be a douche. Just think before you take a break, take a breath. Okay, so I'm gonna grab this. So this one's a little bit different as well, and I'm just gonna, let me just rotate this. I also posted some new work up on my ArtStation today. It's not new work. A project that I was working on last Christmas for a company in London. I noticed that they published the work on their website. They actually published a tech demo of the VR project working, and they also posted some screenshots. So I kind of put them on my portfolio because I built the environment for those pieces. I was working with another artist called Reese Rose. This is a student of mine who's working for this company now, and we had to build a airbase. So you can check out that on my portfolio now. All I did there was I just straightened the UVs. If you just joined, welcome. Say hello. It's been a little bit lonely in chat today. I mean, some people don't like chatting. It's fine. Does make things go a lot quicker if people are chatting to me, and I'm just not rambling on about random stuff. Because no one. So yeah, if you've got any game dev questions, if you've got any art questions, anything to do what I do in my day job, which I run the masters at Anglia Ruskin University in games development art. That is a mouthful. So yeah, if you've got any questions about any of those things, or games that you're playing at the moment, like what games is everybody playing at the moment? Like I said, I got Car Mechanic Simulator 2018. It's brilliant. It's so soothing. Especially after you've had a really bad game of Call of Duty like last night. I went to play a bit of Car Mechanic. I also bought Detroit Become Human, which is cool. Okay, I think that's thingy. And these methods are just pretty much rinse and repeat. It's like I'm stitching, I'm sewing, I'm orientating, I'm making sure that things flow with each other. So I've still got a few bits and bobs left to do, so let's stitch. And all I'm pressing is G to repeat this tool until I get to, there we go. Same on this side. There we go. So we got that there. Oh, hello, what are you? So you definitely something. Hello, that's interesting. Yeah, UVs you'll always find something wrong, and this is a good place to find that issue. So So there's an issue there. And I'm just fixing it by adding a little bit more geometry in there to stop it from being an n-gon. Because before this line was here, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. So which is not what you want. So you want to always keep things to 4 sides, because what in the engine they triangulate the mesh, and it's easier to triangulate. It's easier on the processor to triangulate a 4-sided shape than it is to try and triangulate a 5-sided shape or a 4 or more sided shape. The reason for that is because it has to calculate where the triangles are going to go. So if it's a square, if it's a quad, it's going to go like that. Or if it's a 5-sided shape, so if it was like a house, but the house was like dun, 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 and there was no line here, it would mean that it would triangulate there and then have to draw another line there. Whereas if you'd already put the polygons in like this, it means that this line's already drawn, so it's just one, and then it's a triangle on top. So yeah, I think that's my understanding of it. There you go. So it's now stitched properly. I'm just going to do the same over here. Now it would have been better if I'd done this at the start, but hey. I'm just going to pen the polygon on that. I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller. And it should be the same on the other side as well. I'm just going to attach these edges to it as well. It just means that everything's together. You're not really going to see that anyway. So, okay, I think that's the last bit. So in terms of objects now, what we're going to do is I'm actually going to add a little bit of bevels to these. Now the reason for this is just so it's thinking it now. What did I forget to do, Matt? What did you forget to do, Matt? Well, you forgot to optimize this, because this has got a lot of wasted space. So let's do that now. It's not affecting the UVs too much, which is good. And yeah, okay, it's not the biggest savings that we're going to have, but it means it's optimized. It means that you've kind of gone through and made sure that, okay, what I'm building is clean. It's like a paint decorator. Like you mask the top where you don't want paint to go, and because you've masked it, you're not going to get as much paint on the ceiling, for example. That's a bad analogy. I don't think that's the right analogy, but anyway, let's... Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bevel these edges, and the reason for that is so that they're not as harsh on the silhouette, because that's a 90-degree angle. And if you look at anything, like even the table here, it has a little bit of a bevel. It's a very small bevel, but there is a bevel there. So yeah. Now I'm not going to bevel these bits down here because they're not actually going to bevel because we got rid of the faces. Okay. and I'm not going to bevel here is because this is actually flush. So the only places where I can bevel is this edge here. So I'm just going to click right mouse, hold shift, hold right mouse button, and if you go over to bevel edge, it's going to give you the option. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bevel it, say 0.1, something like that. Okay. And what this does, it just gives that nice kind of like bevel, and it stops it from being really harsh. Do I ever bother with chamfers? No. I don't, Patrick. Actually, one thing I am going to do before that happens is I'm just going to take both of these. Oh, why? Okay. This is a weird one. No, I don't, Patrick. I never really use chamfer, and I don't know why. It's like a lot of things inside of Mayo. There's stuff that I've never used really. Oh wait, no, it's turned on by automatic chamfering. That's on. I'm just going to actually fix some of this. Let me go multi-cut. Yeah, that was an interesting one. Okay, let me grab that and let's bring this up. Now this could be a risk while you UV, and if you've beveling doesn't tend to cause any issues. It's normally like if there's an error with the beveling, then a thingy. So let me I've just realised as well, don't need that. I can get rid of it because it's going to be attached to this here, and it's the same with that. It's like so there, and the back of it is that's not needed as well. These two pieces are needed as well because you're not going to see it. We've got a back to it, and what I'm actually going to do is combine these two together so that we can obviously bevel this a little bit more. The only issue is I've got to fix some of this, so I'm just going to grab the vertices, merge them. Now hopefully I can actually target weld this. There we go. Because target weld's brilliant, because what it does is it not only does it merge the verts, it also moves the UVs, which is what we want. But whereas before, if I move the vert, it's going to move the UVs with it, and it's just not going to look right. So with this method, you can actually just move, using the target weld, it will merge the verts and it will move the UVs, and that's 2 steps out of your process. So yeah, so you should be using tools to speed up your process, not slow it down. And it's the same with this now, so I'm just going to use a multi-cut. I'm just going to do that because it doesn't really like it when that's the case. that's going to be a pain. What's up with you? I mean, the worst case is this. Is I grab the insert edge loop tool, and if I just put it to relative distance instead of absolute, I can then what's up with you? Another trick is this. Let's see if this works. So you can also preserve the UVs as well. So in the move tool, you double click and get the options, you can actually preserve the UV mode. So for example, like this. Yeah. And to be fair, I think I'm going to re-UV this in a minute anyway. But anyway, so yeah, so I've got that. So I can just do another one. So that would be insert edge loop tool. Okay, grab the target weld. Bring that down. Bring this down because I've got the preserve UV. And if the preserve UV doesn't work, it just means that you can undo it basically. So you can turn it off in the options and then it'll work again. Okay. Now, I could, if I wanted to, I could do this. Maybe not that. And then keep that like that. And then that basically allows me to, it's not many polys. All I'm going to do there is probably save another 8 polys. And it just looks cleaner this way anyway. So we'll keep it like that. And I think that should be fine for now. And even though these were 2 separate pieces before, they are now one object, which is brilliant. Okay, so next bit. You can see it's got a thingy. Okay, I think that's it really. So we can now bevel these edges. What is up with you? No, seriously, why are you doing that? Okay. Let's try this again. I don't know what's up. I'm going to close down layer. Let's give this a go. Don't know why this is happening. There's a couple of things we can do. We can delete the preferences. It may be the tool that's the tool is just shot to pieces and we need to reset the tool. We can also re-import, export the model as an OBJ, re-import it back in, and that tends to clean a lot of it up. Could be some history that's gone wrong somewhere, it's corrupted itself. We'll have a look in a minute. So just open it up. So there's a few bits of checklist that you'll need to go through to double check to see if this is working. The first one is Okay, so the best thing to do before you go and delete your preferences, because obviously it deletes all your taskbar stuff here, is just to get a object and grab it and go bevel. So that's beveling correctly. So I know it's something to do with my model, not the tool itself. Now we could go into the bevel options and go edit, reset settings. But like I said, it's an issue with the model, not the tool. So it's not worth us actually trying to reset the thingamajig, the options. So let's go to cleanup and let's see if it's a something wrong with the 4 sides or 5 sides. No. So we haven't got any n-gon. I haven't got any n-gons in the model. Now the thing is, I could understand why it wouldn't be working on this edge, because if you try and bevel that edge, it's not going to bevel. And the reason for it is there's no thickness, there's no 90-degree angle there for it to bevel, so it's not that. Let's grab all the UVs, the verts, and merge them. Let's have a look at these. No, there's nothing solidly saying why this shouldn't bevel properly. Is it just the top one? Okay, this is really weird. Okay, so the next stage is this. Oh, this is an interesting one. I've never actually seen this before. There we go. So it was because it was way too big, but like 0.5 isn't that big on it, so I don't know why it was doing that. Anyway, I've kind of fixed it. Yeah. So let's see if no. It's weird. I've never seen it do that when you put like 0.5 in the base one, so I'm not sure what's wrong with that. Okay, but it gives you that nice soft edge basically. Next bit. So the next bit is this bit here. So again, we can probably combine this together, and we can get rid of this face because we don't need it. That stumped me there. Let's combine. And again, I'm going to need to just quickly put some edge loops in. And let's go to here. Obviously, I'm going to need to reuse this in a minute anyway, so it's fine. Even now, things stump me. So if you're learning, don't worry. I've been using Maya since 2008, and it still surprises me. And again, I'm just going to use the target weld. I'm just going to weld that down so it's optimized as much. And I'm just going to take these. I'm just going to, sorry, automatic math. Again, I'm just going to make sure those are merged. And what I can do is I can just set the textile density. I'll do that anyway. Unit settings. Oh, actually, yeah. That could be a good point. No, centimeters. So if that was set to meters, then maybe I'd be a bit worried. But it's not. So I'm not too sure on that one. Because yeah, sometimes it's it could be unit settings like Ross just pointing out in chat. But it's set to centimeters, so yeah, I don't know, Ross. I fixed it by just going a little bit lower, but it was one of those where it's just like, why I've never seen you do that. So, but anyway, you get around it, don't you? Hi Martin. Are you new around here? I don't think I've ever seen your name in chat before, so maybe you are. But hi, welcome. First time seeing me struggle with Maya settings. Ah, new one. Hello, welcome. I'm guessing from the name you do 3D art as well. Hazarding a guess there. Could be traditional art actually. It could be traditional 3D sculpting. Not always digital. Anyway, so we got this now. It's pretty much what I want it to do. I will do a clean up on it just to make sure. No, that's fine. So I actually want to put a bevel on this edge here. And the reason for that is I want to create a natural crevice on the here. So normally with a door, you'll see that you'll get these natural creases because that's where it's being manufactured. It's a manufactured product, so it needs these natural creases. So what we do is we put the bevels in there to kind of help support that. Ah, cool. Yeah. It's 3D art. It's fine. It is. My Twitter handle is 3D Artist Matt because I sometimes don't just do environments. Sometimes I have to do more prop work. Sometimes I do character prop work and that sort of stuff. Sometimes I do UI as well. So yeah, I just specialize in. I prefer to do environment art. My characters are not the best unless they're square, like Pixel P and the Sure Fighting list. Any other characters, like organic characters, I stay away from. So as you can see now, right, this is the thing, Ross. It's fine now on this piece. It's just that inner piece there. So if I undo that now, can you see how you're getting this natural crease, which is here? So beveling is brilliant for that, is to creating like natural creases inside of the models. I know it's strange, Ross. I haven't got the foggiest why it's doing it just on this piece. I thought it might be the tool, reset the tool. No. The other step would be, if I couldn't get it to work with the 0.01, would be to take the object out as an OBJ and then re-import it back in, because sometimes that clears errors that you might get. If we've got enough time at the end, I might do that just to see if it works. Yeah, I mean, 3D art covers a lot of stuff nowadays. Like, I first started out, I didn't start out in games, I started out in architectural visualization, doing some rendering for BP, and I still take those sort of contracts on as well. Yeah, like I said earlier on, one of the recent projects that I did wasn't for games, it was for VR, for training app for a US Air Force. So yeah. Now I wouldn't do that for this, generally because it's a hard surface and I'm not used to ZBrush when it comes to hard surface stuff, but that's my personal preference. And that's just what I'm used to. I'm just used to doing hard surface inside of Maya instead of ZBrush. I've started using ZBrush more to do stylized sculpts. I'm currently working with a client in America doing that stuff for them. But when it comes to this sort of hard surface, I'm just useless in ZBrush. Yeah. Pooh student Patrick is one of my masters, and he's just done a piece, just done a hard surface piece inside of ZBrush using a lot of alphas and that sort of stuff, which looks cool. But yeah, I would take it into ZBrush if I was going to damage it. If I wanted to add like quite a bit of nicking in it and like damage into the wood so it bows more. But for this piece, it's very kind of, it's not damaged or anything. It's very clean in essence. So yeah. Me personally, hard surface stuff I stay away from ZBrush because I just can't get my head around it. Okay, let's bevel the door, because the door's going to have a bevel on it as well. Only a little one. The figures in the back, yes they are. So the PopCap figures that you can probably see here, the little ones, they were an advent calendar I had for Christmas this year. The Assassin's Creed stuff are all from collector's editions, and this here should be here. That is from the French one. Forgot her name now. I originally had Arno, and my boss at the time bought me that for my birthday. Elise, I think it is. So yeah, I'm not a Ubisoft fanboy or Assassin's Creed fanboy. And then I've got some PopCap figures, which my head is blocking. So the Assassin's Creed stuff here, and these little ones here are from the Advent calendar, and then I've got Avengers with some of them that have fallen over. Birthday presents and a serious amount of art books as well. The whole of the bottom shelf is art books. But yeah, a couple of the Assassin's Creed figures my partner hunted down for me and got them for Christmas the last 2 years, because they were discontinued. They weren't making them anymore, and she managed to find the Plague Doctor and the French girl from the Stand of Liberation, was it? So yeah. Okay, I'm not going to put too much of a bevel on this one. Maybe a 0.2. I think that works. Yeah, that works. I'm not actually going to bevel these here because they're really small, so there's no point in doing that. And it's already kind of soft anyway, so we'll leave that. Again, I am going to bevel this one, and I may have to clean this up actually. I'm just going to put a 0.1 on it so that we get that nice crease here, and that's going to be really helpful when it comes down to the SSAO and that sort of stuff. Yeah, one UV map for the whole for this object. If I do decide not to do that, what I'll do is any props that are going on top of it, and I'll actually open up the Unreal scene so you can see it. So any props that go on top of it, I may put on the same UV sheet so that it's all together. Other assets, it's fine. As long as you've got a consistent texel density across it, and if you're running like if you do a 2048 texture, and then downscale when you need to, then thingy. So everything on this project is at 2048 by 2048, and then when it comes to kind of optimizing the scene inside the engine, what I'll do is I'll reduce those textures down, dependent on the thingy. And it's like the mobile football stuff I've been doing. I've had to be using texture atlasing for that, so that we're not loading in too many textures. So we only actually, I did a set of buildings which had one 2048 texture, but it was like 5 or 6 buildings on the same one, but like in different quadrants. And yeah, for mobile that's really key, but we'll see. It's trial and error, isn't it? Okay, I think I need to fix this one actually, because look at here, yeah. One, two, three, 4, 5. May not be the best. It may be. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what it comes out at. I think I should be nearly ready to start to lay out these UVs all together. Oh, no. Okay, that's fine. And then I'll just have to. There we go. There we go. I did. I used to. The last couple of times I haven't done any music because I was getting a bit fed up with the royalty-free music that I was using. So I've actually just the last couple of times, like since I started back streaming last week, I haven't really been using music. I also upload these to YouTube as well. But if people prefer to have the music in the background, I will do. It's just yeah. If anybody knows any more decent royalty-free sites, at the moment I'm using Pretzel, which is like Spotify but for royalty-free music. I was just fed up of hearing the same song over and over again. I wanted to listen to my own music. I was being selfish, I'm sorry. Just rub my eyes. Wait, do you mean this bit here? The picture thing? Huh. I thought this was the right one. Let's do a clean up on this. No, clean up, please. Yeah, that is weird. Yeah, May's bugs for you. Well, they're saying that the UV editor is a lot better than it used to be. Ah, oh, God, I remember it when it didn't have half of these. You had to load in the this kind of like UV shell thing all the time. Oh God, yeah. Yeah, that's a weird one. Especially because, like, if I delete the history. No, that was weird. There you go. What the hell? Yeah, no. It is the better one out of 3D Studio Max. I remember a couple of times where I've had to do some models inside of 3D Studio Max, and I've sneakily brought them back into Maya to do the UVs because I was just like, yeah, no. Trying to do any UVs in Max is just hard surface is a lot better in Max. Some of the tools that are out there for you to use and stuff, but yeah, no, Maya. I'm not really complaining about Maya. Maya's the issue is just some of the bugs that happen. But I suppose that serves me right for upgrading every single time. Okay, last bits, that's already beveled, so I don't want to bevel that. Again, this is quite fine in its detail. It's already beveled enough, I think, so yeah. So, just going to bevel this bit here. Lovely. Yeah, the max stack is a lot better than Maya's history. I will give it that. It's a lot easier to go back and change stuff. Whereas Maya, once you've kind of manipulated quite a few times in the history, it's very hard. Outliner wise, I like Maya's outliner. I always use it anyway. And yeah. I just don't like when it's kind of like a cross shape because it just wastes so much UV space, especially if you do the automatic layout for it. Okay. So all I'm doing there is just moving the pivot so that I can make sure these line up. Yeah, they have kind of, haven't they? Because like I'm using Maya's LT version, which is brilliant, and I know it took them a while to get that out for Max, and yeah, it's just a shame. I mean, Blender may be a competitor soon-ish. It's getting that way from everything that I'm seeing from them. And if it's free and open source, it's kind of like Maya's kind of got to really up its Autodesk really got to up its game, and I think that's they've been lazy for a long time because they've had the monopoly on 3D software for a long time. A lot of companies use Max or Maya, and they've owned both, so that there hasn't been that much competition to kind of develop those pieces of software. But because they own both pieces of software, it's like, well, okay, as a company, like, what do you do? Do you merge them both together, or do you just can one of them and keep the other, or do you keep them both going against each other? I don't know. And then you've got the likes of Blender coming up, which is free open source 3D modeling tool that a lot of people are starting to use, because you can, a lot of the people who use Maya can turn it into Maya with a lot of the hotkeys and that sort of stuff, and they're kind of learning from their mistakes of the past where it wasn't as intuitive as Maya. Maya still is hands down the best piece of software for UV, and it's still the best piece of software for animation. Like if you look at it in comparison to Blender and Max, the animation tools inside of Maya are second to none. But when it comes to sculpting, you've now got ZBrush. Like I don't even. I think Autodesk is still supporting Mudbox, but like I don't hear of any studio using Mudbox. and yeah, Blender. I'll give them a credit, and I'm not the biggest fan of Blender because I tried to use it when it first came out. Well, not when it first came out, but like back in its early days, and I hated it. And I tried to use it a couple of years ago, and I hated it as well. Trying to learn that. A college asked me to do a workshop in Blender. I was like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. So yeah, so I don't know. Like, we'll see. But competition's good because then it improves, and then we get the better piece of software to use. Mudbox is down, I think, doesn't exist in me. No, I haven't heard it for a while. I know Autodesk tried to do their own game engine as well, if you can remember Stingray. That died out very quickly. Because unless you're in a studio where you've got your own in-house engine that you're using, or you might be a studio using Unreal Engine or Unity, it's like those two engines have got the monopoly on off-the-shelf engines. So why try and compete with that when you've got like Epic, who every time I think of Epic now, it's like what's that, DuckTales? You know, where Scrooge McDuck is swimming in a pool full of money. That's what I think Epic. Every time I think of Epic now, and yeah, it's just stupid to try and even go that way unless you're a specialist engine, like say, maybe you're doing 2D only stuff. I know like Game Maker has its own little corner of people who really enjoy using it. Sean Spalding, who used to work there, he does workshops with Tommy for little kids where they actually make a game live on stage in an hour with the kids, and like Sean's there programming and doing a little bit of art for them, and then Tommy's crowd control, making sure that it doesn't get too crazy on stage. But yeah, so I think there's room for little engines like that kind of have their own little niche market. But like unless you're a big studio and you've already got your own engine implemented, like if you're a new startup studio, it's Unity or Unreal. Like Amazon Lumberyard, has anybody heard anything from that recently? Is it the Amazon game engine now? I don't know. Like that was originally based off CryEngine, which again I've used in-house versions of CryEngine, and yeah, no. Unity and Unreal have done a good job of kind of cornering those markets and making things more accessible as well, like for indie developers, for big studios, for hobbyists to kind of access those resources to build stuff. Because I remember even when I was at university, we were using UDK and Unreal Engine 3, and it was just awful. Like looking back at it now, then it was like, oh my god, you can do this, this, and this. But like looking back at it now, it's like, oh my god, how do we work that? I'm like talking to one of my colleagues, Jason, who's been working in the industry for 18-20 years now. He did a lot of the promotional art for Medieval, the original Medieval, and he's worked on like Little Big Planet and Killzone on the PS Vita and that sort of stuff. And like if you talk to him about his experiences in the industry 20 years ago to where they are now, it's progression, which is good. I think that's what I'm trying to get at. It's good progression. Yes, it was Arkham Knight. It was made in Unreal Engine 3. I think it was their last foray in UE3. I think it might have been the last game made in UE3. Like I remember I was doing my master's project, one of my master's projects, and I was using CryEngine because UDK was kind of done. It was, yeah, and I was trying to learn CryEngine, so I was there learning CryEngine, and then 4 weeks before my deadline, Unreal Engine 4 came out, and I was like, oh my god. And I just switched engine mid-project. I was just like, okay, I'm just going to use Unreal Engine 4 and use that. I got a good grade. I got 84, 85% for that module. they really did push, and with Unreal Engine 3, UDK you couldn't do this as much because UDK was the free version of Unreal Engine 3, and it was the very much stripped down version. Unreal Engine 3 you could do a lot with if you were building your own tools for the engine. I think Ross will attest to this. Tools are really useful inside the engine for artists, for level designers, for programmers, and that sort of stuff. So I think they wrote a lot of their tools that kind of pushed that engine to what it was for Arkham Knight. But I think that was the last game made in it. Okay. Yeah, that is my concern, and my concern is that anybody learning now, learning when Unreal 5 comes out, is going to be like, "Oh my god, I can just throw as many polygons into it as possible," and it's like, yeah, but it needs still to run, and it still needs to be optimized, and it still needs to look good, and no matter how many polygons you throw at a shit model, excuse my French there, it's still gonna look crap. The silhouette isn't right, it's gonna look crap. And no matter how many polygons you throw at it, you could throw 1,000,000 polygons at a crap silhouetted model, which doesn't resemble anything that you're supposed to be trying to make. Still gonna look bad. So my only concern is, and it's the same with when Substance Painter came out and Substance Painter and the Quixel Suite came out, is students coming through don't know how to create textures from scratch. And the problem that I see with Substance Painter is, especially with student projects, is that everything looks the same. You can tell it's been made in Substance Painter. So students still need to learn, especially with texturing, is how you build a texture. And that could be used through Substance Painter, but they still need to understand, like, how do certain materials rust? How do certain materials weather? How do certain materials get damaged? Like, the example that I use for my students is an oil barrel. And I say, okay, what's its shape? It's a cylinder. So what happens with cylinders? They roll. Okay, so tell me a story about this cylinder. Like, where would you put the scratches? And it's like, well, you put the scratches on the edges, where maybe someone has like kind of tried to move the barrel and rotate it along the floor, and it's scratched the paintwork off. And it's like, well, okay, that's exposed metal, and you've told me that this barrel is outside. What's going to happen to it? And it's like, well, it's going to rust. And it's like, and I ask them, like, is it going to rust all over the object? And they're like, no. And it's like, no, it isn't. It's going to rust where there's exposed metal and where water has come in contact with that metal. So in essence, you kind of have to have a little bit of a product design background or interest in like how materials work to understand how to create a good texture. And that comes on to the generators. The generators are brilliant as a base. And that's the problem. A lot of people just use it and go, there, it's done. And that's not right. You should build your base up. So start off small with a generator to get the rough details in, block details in, and then go in and paint it. Use the particle brushes. Use the actual brushes itself. Get yourself a tablet and paint that detail in and build the detail up or bring it down. Yeah, like I tell my students all the time, it's pictures. Use your reference. Go out and take pictures of objects that are in situ of where you want to, like, if it's outside and that sort of stuff. Look at how things are made. A lot of students, when they come in the first year, try and make things out of one whole cube. And one of the first tasks that I get them to do is I get them to build a piece of IKEA furniture from plans. And they build it all together as pieces, as a Lego kit, basically, a kit bash. And it just shows that they then understand that things don't come from whole cubes. Yes, reference is key, I think, yeah. And I'm still saying it to people as well, who I shouldn't be saying it to. And I'm like, where's your reference for this? Why haven't you got your reference? I've been doing this since 2008, 3D modeling. Professionally, I've been doing it since 2011, since I graduated. And I've still got... Hello. Nope. There's my reference at the moment for this piece. I did say I made a little bit up because I've added a couple of extra doors in, but that's where I started from. And when I go into texturing, I'll keep this reference up because I want to see how the gloss on it is working and that sort of stuff. So it's just like reference. The amount of times I say that to students. Okay, rant over, I'm sorry. I'm ranting there a little bit. It's best when I actually say that to the students. It's like, okay, this is what you need to do. And then they don't listen to you. But then I get someone from industry to come in and they say the exact same thing. And the students are like, oh, okay. And it's like, seriously? I've been telling you this for weeks. Yeah. One thing I say is alien tech is never that alien. And I learned that from one of my tutors. He did a presentation where he talks about designing futuristic assets and that sort of stuff. And yeah, alien tech is never that alien. If you're making an alien gun, you look at the Needler from Halo. It has a part for the ammo. And you know it's the part for the ammo. It has a trigger. It has a barrel. It has a flash guard of some sort. You know it is a gun. Yeah, silhouettes are key. Good story that I got told was from James Shepherd, who used to run the Sony studio in Cambridge. We were going to an event and I was giving him a lift, and he they were designing a creature or something from what he was telling me, and his designers just couldn't get it in their head basically what this creature needed to look like. It was like a demon. So he got them drawing animals, goats. What else did he get? Loads of other different animals, and then took it from there basically. And yeah, just to actually took real world reference and went, okay, this is what it needs to look like. Use these to build a believable bone structure that this could live in this world, and it's believable because the eye, if something's off, the eye will pick it up. So I'm just setting the textile density across all the UV islands so that it should be alright. I'm actually going to get rid of that. Cool. The hinges I'm not going to do on this sheet. I'm actually just going to do a trim sheet with hinges and more handles and that sort of stuff. I think I've actually already got a sheet like that anyway, so I'm just going to use that instead, because yeah. Okay. Let me try and find that. Let me just launch Unreal. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to wrap it up there. I need to actually do a little bit of admin. I will just show the Cenotaph scene quickly and just get this actually inside of Unreal just to check the UVs and the light map. Where's that? Oh, hello. What is up with you? Trim sheets are good. I'd say my handles are trim sheets, but they're not. But it's a sheet full of like handles and different hinges that I've kind of baked together to put onto each other. But yeah, trim sheets are really good, especially if you're doing modular environments and that sort of stuff. Sometimes it's good as well to create, like, if you've got a very limited texture budget and you need to do that sort of stuff. That's pretty decent to do. It's getting them to look kind of varied and that sort of stuff. I wouldn't do a trim sheet for a prop because the prop needs to look unique in essence. Yeah, I did have a student who did that for his dissertation. He did trim sheets. He did an environment in one. I think it was maybe 2 textures or something. Like this sort of snowy environment, which is pretty cool. Works at Playground Games. So, okay. So we've got this here. What was it with you? Ignore that for the time being. Oh, why is that doing that? Let me fix these. I thought I did, but never mind, I didn't. It's all right. No, I did a zebra sculpt. I did, yeah, I wanted to get back into ZBrush, and that actually landed me a contract. So this was just a piece I did over the weekend, the wishing well was, and I kind of did, I did all the sculpting inside of ZBrush and then baked it all over, and then I've got a couple of substance materials that I've made over the last couple of months that are kind of in Substance Painter, and they give me kind of like stylized way of working on it. So yeah, no, it wasn't actually done in design. It was all done in ZBrush. First time back actually using ZBrush. Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, no, it's that was it actually landed me the gig that I'm working on at the moment, which is pretty cool. Cool. So you can see, so it's going to have all these little props on it. I'm actually going to get rid of these paintings that are behind it. I might put like a landscape painting in there because I think it's too much. You wouldn't have it like that. So yeah, and I said I was going to replace this ceiling material as well. Not the biggest fan. I think I'm going to put wood, like a wood pip kit. That's a mouthful. Like this. Actually, I will get you a reference for it. Thinking something like this. Where's... following. Where is he? So I was thinking of you getting, creating a kind of a material like that. So yeah, I was thinking of creating something like this, and then I still need to do the lighting. So there's going to be these lights that are on the wall, but I was thinking of having kind of like some lights in the ceiling as well. So yeah, still got a lot left to do on this, but time at the moment. I've only just come back to this since March. I think February, March. These at the moment, I don't think they have the IES profiles in there because I haven't figured out what they're going to be. Because it's 1930s. This is set. Again, I'm still looking into whether they had a lot of electricity lights in the homes. I think they did though. Yeah, well, it's got to be finished because it's for our next project, Cenotaph, which is based around World War One poetry. So this is the poet's study that the first poem that we're doing is about. So you wake up and you go through flashbacks of World War One, and the player kind of explores this. If you've ever played, how we described it is it's Valiant Hearts meets What Remains of Edith Finch. And yeah, so this will definitely be up. But yeah, lighting in here I think is still a bit too dark. I thought I did play around with it the other day. Yeah, still got a lot to do. Okay, so I think that's ready to be textured. So yeah, so thank you all for tuning in. Yeah, the material in the sofa needs a lot more work doing to it. It's yeah, it's a little bit too shiny. I need some more variation in the roughness, roughness, because at the moment I'm not the biggest fan. And when I try and use the control I've got for this, just doesn't look right. I think it's got too much. There's not enough variation in the roughness that I already know of. I need to go back into Substance Painter and paint some of that in, just to kind of stop it from looking a little bit too reflective. But yeah, so thank you for tuning in. In the next one, I'm going to go through and texture the sideboard and get that all sorted, and then hopefully carry on with this, and yeah, get the scene finished. I keep looking at it and going, oh my god, there's so much stuff to do, but I need to get it done because I need to move on to this scene as well, which is the main menu. Yeah, which is Cenotaph. So yeah, need to get this done. So thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you I'll see you in the next one. Bye.